Hello everyone. I want to talk again about the growth of fascism, and in Canada, the top judge of Canada in their Supreme Court is a recently retired woman named Beverly Ann McLaughlin. She has a rather interesting history. She studied philosophy, master's degree in philosophy, Bachelor of Arts in philosophy, and when she was retiring recently, I just want to quote what she said. She caught the eye of the Dean of Law while studying in a bachelor's program. Now, I have a Bachelor of Science degree. I was in a 4-year course. I assume that hers is a 4-year course as well. But I didn't catch the eye of the Dean of Law. The law department did not interact with the science department at all. And what the university that she went to, apparently the law department was interacting with philosophy department. And I don't know why that would be. I have a feeling she's trying to say something else without saying it. But it's hard to extrapolate what she's actually meaning here, because I think what she's actually saying, and if you see a picture of her, I'll provide one. The days that she's talking about are the early hippie days, the free love days. And in those days, from the look of her, she would have been an attractive woman. It'd be about 1961, I would guess, from the way she's described her background. Anyway, I'll just quote it. She didn't know what she wanted to do with herself. She had no idea where she was going. So she says, while studying for her BA in philosophy at the University of Alberta, she caught the eye of the Dean of Law, and he encouraged her to follow up with a law degree, and she rapidly discovered a love that has carried her to unfathomable heights. I just want to correct something here. After the Bachelor of Arts degree in philosophy, she studied for a master's degree in philosophy. She spent 2 years there. She's left it out that she has a master's degree in philosophy. And I'm willing to bet the LLB, the law degree that she has, is a 2-year course, not a 4-year course. It's 2 years. And in fact, when she was retiring, the newspapers quote that she had a great deal of knowledge from her academia. Well, that knowledge would be all in philosophy. It wouldn't be in law. I have an acquaintance, his name is Chester Cole. He's long deceased now, but I know his family quite well. He studied law at Harvard University in the United States. He did a bachelor's program, he did the LLB program, and he did a master's degree. He was so good, he ended up as a lecturer at Harvard, and he became an expert on maritime law. And at that time, the United States did not have maritime boundaries, other than the 12 miles, which was kind of common, I guess, in most parts of the world. But at that time, America decided that it should be a 200-mile limit instead of a 12-mile limit. And so he worked to get that done, and he has a master's degree in law. And his home country, Canada, he realized there is no maritime boundaries here. So he came to Canada and he tried to convince the government that they got to get this done. And he had a fight on his hands, because it's also been my experience in Canada. When you want to improve things or come up with new, and you have new ideas, you have to fight everybody. And then in the end, when they agree that, hey, you were right, they say, well, it was all self-evident anyway. We all knew that, which is total crap, of course. I want to get back to Beverly Ann McLaughlin again. She was appointed. See, it was, as she says, her ascension in law is almost magical. It's really something. She says, I just cannot believe my good fortune. It is all astonishing to me how everything has worked out. And there aren't many people who, I do know some though, I know 8 people similar to this, who were, somebody pointed at them and gave them their opportunity, and I would give them a little push. I would like to know from the University of Alberta if Beverly Ann McLaughlin studied law for 4 years, which is normal, or 2, which is a law degree light. I'm willing to bet it's 2, but you'll probably find the University of Alberta will block my attempt to find out what is her background really. So how did she get there? You know, it was remarkable, because she got a job in a law office in British Columbia. And then from there, she gets appointed to be a judge. And then from being a judge, she gets appointed to a university to teach law as a professor. What? with a 2-year law degree. Mind you, they probably looked at her background and said, well, you've got a master's degree, so that's okay. But the master's degree is in philosophy. It's not in law. And she's left it out. I can see why she leaves it out, because she doesn't want anybody to ask these questions like, why would you study philosophy for 6 years? But your true love is law, as you say here. It was law. Did you study law for 4 years or 2 years? Please send me an email. Let me know. And she spent many, many years as the Supreme Court of Canada. She initially was appointed by a man named Brian Mulroney, a prime minister from Quebec. He's a lawyer from there. He's trained under Napoleonic Code, of course, which is the law of Quebec. And Napoleonic Code says that the people, the crown is protected from the people. And Napoleon changed the word crown to state. And so it's still the laws of Quebec that the province of Quebec is protected from the people. You cannot prosecute the prosecutor, as they say. And Beverly Ann McLaughlin, very famously, a man in Alberta, was convicted of a crime that he did not commit, and he spent 26 years in prison. So when he got out, he tried to sue for damages. And Beverly Ann McLaughlin got directly involved, and she says, you cannot sue the prosecutor. You can't. That's Napoleonic Code. Under English common law, you can. In England, this happens on a regular basis. There are currently, and I just want to point out to you, she's saying that she is unaware of any particular deficiencies in the current law. There are 45,000 unheard cases before the Crown, and the Crown will not process them. They will not let anyone speak in the courtroom. You can't do it. I have 4 of them. I'm self-represented. I have 4. Every time I've been before a judge, the judge always says the same thing. Mr. Wheaton, I'm giving the Crown another 30 days. And the gavel hits the little block of wood, and he walks out. I have done this many times. So I have a lawyer friend who helped me get as far as I am, which is nowhere. He can't quite believe it, so he said, well, let's go downtown and let's take a look at your file, because when a judge makes a decision on a file, the judge has to enter that decision into your file. So we go there. Here comes one file. Open it up. There is nothing. The judge has not put the decision in there that he's given the Crown another 30 days. My lawyer friend said, that's impossible. So the guy at registry says, it's not up to me, it's up to the judge, go see the judge. Well, you can't find even that. And the judges at that time, they just signed a scribble. So who is that? And the guy has to get out a book of all the scribbles. That is Judge whoever. Anyway, it got to be tiring after, I think, 6 attempts like this, and 4 cases, mind you. It got to be, I'm being held up. The Crown is not allowing me to proceed. The Crown is being protected from me. The Crown is being protected. The Crown, as Princess Diana used to say, is formidable. And Princess Diana also used to say that her ex-husband, Charles, would have her killed, and it would be a car accident. She died in a car accident, as we all know. And I don't know if anybody knows this, but from the time of her accident in an underground tunnel in downtown Paris, from that accident to when she entered the hospital was 4 hours. You'd think, for Christ's sake, she was on the top of the Alps or something, skiing. That would be like 4 hours to get to a hospital. But it's downtown Paris. It's Princess Diana. And other people, too, are injured. Can't get them there in less than 4 hours. That's Napoleonic Code, everybody. So anyway, she died there. Terrible. But she did warn everybody that the Crown is formidable. And I can tell you, when Pierre Elliott Trudeau was doing pirouettes behind the Crown, and he wrote a new constitution for Canada, he made sure the government of Canada would be formidable. All of the resources of the Crown are put at their disposal. None of them are at mine. I am self-represented. I have talked to lawyers on the phone through the Law Referral Service. I've met with them, and they all shake their head and they say, you are going up against, you're David and this is Goliath, and Goliath ain't going down. I have the feeling that the people of Canada need to have the right to protect themselves from the abuses of the Crown, the agents of the Crown, or the employees of the Crown. But the Crown doesn't see it that way. The Crown is very happy to hold back 45,000 cases, and Beverly Ann McLaughlin says, I'm unaware of any particular deficiencies in the current law. Well, there are 45,000 of us, madam, who would like to be heard and want to be compensated like Brian Mulroney, who appointed you to the Supreme Court of Canada. by telephone. He phoned her. I know this in other newspaper articles. He phoned her. I'm going to do a little future thing on that because it must have been fantastic, right? As she said, it's magical. I mean, what would you think if you're a judge? She was a judge in British Columbia, and you studied philosophy for 6 years. And the Prime Minister calls you and tells you he wants you to be in the Supreme Court of Canada. You know, because she's caught his eye. What does that mean, caught your eye? You know what? It sounds to me like, I don't know. I hate to say it because Beverly Ann McLaughlin's a very powerful person, and the crown is on me already. The RCMP pull me over every goddamn day practically. They're going through my mail. I got a box of mail over there all written. Some of it's sliced open. I've had to go to the RCMP station to get my mail. I go to the Canada Post. What are you going through my mail for? My mother writes me letters and they won't deliver them. They send them back to her saying they can't read her handwriting. That's horseshit. Total crap. Anyway, Beverly Ann McLaughlin, I would like her to be honest about it. And I think she should be proud of having 2 degrees in philosophy. It reminds me of the old Monty Python movie, The Meaning of Life. When a man and a woman, the couple, go to a restaurant, and the waiter says to get them going, you know, in conversation, because they don't know what to talk to each other about. They've been married a long time. He says, let's start off with philosophy. And they say something like, oh, that sounds all right. What's that then? Philosophy is the study of the meaning of life. Now, how do you go from the study of the meaning of life to law? What happened there? How did this happen? And the philosophers, by the way, they have a drinking song. It's a toast that they all do. It's kind of, it's just the way it works. So I'm going to have to do a separate video about that because Beverly Ann McLaughlin, of course, when she was she got eventually appointed not just to the Supreme Court, but she became the top judge. And that appointment came from Jean Chrétien, another prime minister from Quebec, trained under Napoleonic Code. He calls her. He makes her the top judge of the land. And as she said, it's magical. I don't understand this. I don't get it. And she keeps saying, it's because I'm a woman. It's because I'm a woman. It's because I'm a woman. Is that the only criteria we have now in Canada? You're a woman, so take that job. We have a new Prime Minister now, Justin Trudeau, also from Quebec. He's not a lawyer, though. But he's very, very pro-woman. Really something like... See, our Constitution in this country says that we're all equals. Well, equality is great unless you're the one that's got to be equal. Which, of course, is me. I have to be equal to everybody else. But I have noticed that women are not treated equally to men. Certainly not in the Supreme Court, not with Justin Trudeau either. He's got what he calls the gender lens that he looks through. And he prefers women. Mind you, he beats up women. He also beats up Indians or First Nations people or... What were they called? They used to be called Aboriginals, and now Canada has changed it to Indigenous. But I do have to report that these Indigenous people, when they came to North America, there was a group of people here when they got here. And they were called the Clovis people. And the new people who came in killed them all. Except for one place, the province of Newfoundland. It is the only place they were known to be, and they pushed the Vikings out. The Vikings landed on the north end of Newfoundland, and established a residency. And the Clovis people, who had blue skin, by the way, fought with them and drove them out. The Vikings left. Later came the Newfoundlanders, who were basically fishermen from Scotland, Ireland, when there was a big push to kick people out. The Scottish people threw out so many people, chased them to the beach, beat them, clubbed them, stabbed them. They escaped by little boats and ended up in North America, and now the people of Scotland would like them all to return. Or as they say in Scotland, will ya nae come back? So what do they got in Scotland? People from Turkey, Iran, Iraq, all over the Middle East. They're taking over Scotland. Kind of looks good on them, doesn't it? Anyway, they didn't want us back. They don't like us, the Scottish people, even though we are their descendants. People of Newfoundland, the last reported sighting and death of a Clovis person. A Newfoundlander shot him dead. He was in a tree, and he had blue skin. It was reported in the newspaper. This person had blue skin. Now, oddly enough, in Canada, to my knowledge, no one is looking for this group of people who had blue skin. What happened to all those university scientists who go about, they dig up First Nations burial sites and take a look at their beads and how they were buried, things like that, but they're not looking for the Clovis people. The reason they're not looking for it is that you cannot get funding for that. Nobody wants to talk about the Clovis people. Why would you want to introduce another group who were here before this group of Aboriginals, Indigenous? They were here first, and possibly there was another group before them. In ancient Vedic writing of India, they describe blue-skinned peoples that lived on this earth, and they had interacted with them, but they had blue skin. Now, isn't that an interesting thing? I'm going to stop right here. God bless those Clovis people. Are there any left around? I know there's 4 guys in America that keep doing commercials. They call themselves the Blue Man Group. I'm not sure why we have this in our consciousness that there are people with blue skin, but we certainly do. Bye, everybody. Don't leave town.